This morning, we take a brief journey to Kenya, where there have been protests against the new tax laws. In fact, there's a new system, a bill that is before Parliament, a finance bill. The people have kicked against it, and there has been some turmoil in Kenya. We're going to take a statement from the Law Society of Kenya on the back of this, and then I will introduce my guest joining me for this conversation. So looking at this statement from the Law Society of Kenya, you would see that it says, Law Society of Kenya statement on killing of protesters during finance bill demonstrations in Nairobi and across the country is dated the 25th of June. That is yesterday. And it says, I speak to you on this Black Tuesday, not just as an advocate of the High Court of Kenya, but equally as a peace-loving patriot. Apart from being the LSK president, that is the Law Society of Kenya president, I am a mother, an aunt, a sister, a daughter, and a wife. Like all mothers whose children have been killed, injured, tortured, or abducted in the hands of cops, I feel the pain of my countrymen. The Gen Z, whom you call children, out in the streets, fighting for your fellow parents in National Police Service, Parliament, Cabinet, and air-conditioned government offices. Just imagine your child were out there seeking justice when you were comfortably enjoying life. Have we no shame? Are we still a God-fearing nation? To the clergy, Council of Imams and Preachers, where are you today as the country goes down the slopes of dictatorship without respect for the rule of law? Where is my beloved Catholic Church, or what became of the Kenyan Conference of Catholic Bishops? Where is the Anglican Church of Kenya and the National Council of Churches when young Kenyans are being dropped dead by bullets from police officers? Does the Supreme Council of Kenya, Muslims, still exist? When the time comes to perform burial rites for the dead protesters, what will you tell their family members? Where was the shepherd when the enemy raided and scattered the flock? What stops you men of the cloth from joining peaceful Kenyans in the streets? Or are you comfortably hiding behind the pulpit, waiting for us to come on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, carrying gifts, offertory, and tithes? Is that all you care about? Even if it's not for the finance bill, then please come out and let's protect our children, our brothers, our sisters, or better still, your grandchildren. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen from the diplomatic corps, you may not be Kenyans. It's okay, and we get it. However, does it bother you when armed police officers engage peaceful 15, 17 to 19-year-old girls and boys in running battles? It's signed by the President, Faith Odhiambo, Mwaura Kabata, the Vice President, and it goes on and on down to the Coast Representative. It's a sordid situation, a sad one, in which Kenya is embroiled currently, and many youth have been killed. But the question is, where does Kenya go from here? Joining us for a conversation, we have Kelvin Kaya. He is a leadership and governance expert. Kelvin, good morning. You would have to unmute, Kelvin.
Oh, sorry. Good morning to you. Thank you. Thank you very much. I didn't get your name kindly.
The name is Benjamin Akako. You can just call me Ben.
Pleasure, Ben. Thank you.
Now, I have painted the situation, but just tell me, in the last few days, what exactly has happened in Kenya, and how did these deaths result?
Wow. Thank you, Ben. First of all, I joined the president of the, Law Society of Kenya in the same sentiment that she has put forward to question the leadership, to question the church, to question the international community on where their stand is, and as particularly during this state of affairs in the country. Ben, the situation has been boiling all for a long time. It has not been just the last 3 days. The issues Kenyans are raising are issues that have been built up over more than 10 years, but they've been actually skyrocketed or climaxed by the promises that were given by the current president during campaign. The president actually spoke to the youth, and he was speaking the language of the youth. And this youth voted for him in a mass, believing that he was going to be the savior of the challenges. And now this Gen Z, they're actually young people that hold persons accountable to what they say. And so the 2 years of his presidency have been a long wait to see the fruits of what he had promised during campaign. Now, what has happened is that there is a finance bill, and this bill is purporting to tax Kenyans to the last coin. You can imagine, Kenyans can barely put food on the table. Children can barely go to school. We have scenarios where parents are fighting and negotiating whether to buy food or to take their children to school. The young people have lost hope because there are no jobs. There are always promises of we are creating jobs for you. We are going to look for jobs abroad, and you are aware our president has been traveling all over. And so the young people are just saying enough is enough. And so you cannot tax us more. You cannot impose something that is not going to work on us. There are actually very grievous proposals in that finance bill that actually touched the local mwananchi. If you are keen with our news, the president calls the local man the hustler. I mean, the person who is really toiling hard. And so when somebody is toiling hard, why do you go ahead again and tax that person to the lowest coin? So I think just to say is that this issue has been boiling up for quite some time, and this finance bill has actually been the trigger to bring out the anger that the public are having with the youth. And interestingly, even our parents, the Gen X and now the upcoming, the Gen Alpha, are joining in because it's actually a national conversation and a national issue. I think I would get it there and maybe get to the next question. Thank you.
Is the Kenyan Parliament going ahead with deliberations on this bill as of now?
Unfortunately and sadly, yesterday they actually passed the bill.
It's been passed?
Yes, it was passed yesterday by around noon. It was already been passed. And actually that is what aggravated and really pushed these young people to go into Parliament and bomb them out because, I mean, we've already said we don't want this bill. Why do you sit somewhere and pass it? It's some kind of arrogance, some kind of, telling us Kenyans that we don't matter anymore. And, the vote and the power belongs to us, the people, as per the Constitution. And so the young people were really aggravated. And then also we had killings, live killings. These were peaceful demonstrations. A number of these young people were in black and white, to show that they're in solidarity. But then there were gunshots, live gunshots. There were live gunshots, beatings, and it was not possible then to really tell us as a people that the government is willing to listen to us. And so these young people pushed in. Some of the parliamentarians were actually attacked by this youth. Some of them were because the young people really got into the parliament and really fished them out. So they were being evacuated in ambulances. And these young people also went forward to check these ambulances that were moving from parliament. And there is one case where they found members of parliament sacked in an ambulance, and they were actually attacked. So young people are actually annoyed with the government. People are annoyed with the legislators, and I can say that there is a leadership lacuna in the country. There's a leadership crisis right from the parliamentarians at the executive that leads to the presidency, because even the president gave a speech overnight. And in his speech, he wasn't even, remorseful to the lives that were lost. He appeared to be very angry and, trying to indicate that there could be more attacks on the people, which is very unfortunate. And so I think the way forward really is there has to be some soberness. There has to be some dialogue between the leadership, the people, and probably the church could come in. Unfortunately, the church seems to be dancing in the tune that is oppressing the people.
I see.
Thanks, Ben.
So in essence, you've painted a number of pictures for us. One, young people, the very people who voted for William Ruto, are very upset with this new finance bill. You're also saying that the president has come out to speak on the back of these happenings, and It sounded as though he was even suggesting in annoyance that if this went on, many more lives could be lost. Is that what you're suggesting?
From the speech yesterday, that is the case. And he's actually calling these demonstrators as, perpetrators, criminals. You could get a clip of the YouTube that went on in the night. Unfortunately, instead of appreciating that these are citizens airing out their grievances in public out of civil right, he takes these young people as criminals. It's quite unfortunate.
I see. And we see that the president has referred to it as treasonous. Well, the attack on, the parliament building and all of that wouldn't be in the best of taste. But I'd like to find out how many lives have been lost. How many can you confirm have been lost as of now?
Oh my God, but I'm not in any capacity to give that number. However, there are over 30 cases that have been recorded, probably in the media. There are still more going on because in the night after about 6 p.m. Kenyan time, there was another massacre that was released on another sect of community in Githurai because apparently the populace did kill a policeman. And so guys were just, killed helter-skelter. So the numbers would be difficult to say. In all the forums that I'm in and the networks that I'm in, the numbers continue surging. There were those that were actually attacked overnight because there was a release of now the military came out in the evening to attack, and to try and create some order in the disorder. And so there are a number of people we may not be aware currently. But there could also be more. And we've seen cases of abductions. Key civil society persons and persons who speak their voices out have also been abducted. And this creates more tension even to the demonstrators and to the public at large.
Right before I come back to you, I just want to paint this picture. So, interestingly, some of our members of parliament, in fact, the legislator for English Amanfro, Sylvester Tete, is one of those that you saw being evacuated because they were actually in the building when the protests, hit a crescendo, if you like. Nilante Vanderpoy, I hear, was also there. So some Ghanaian legislators were there when this happened and they had to be evacuated. It actually reminds me of the Capitol building assault under Trump at the twilight of his presidency. But let me ask you, so having come to this point, this tax, the finance bill introduces what? A 16% tax on goods and services and all of that. Walk us through what the stipulations are, if you know, and why people have been so upset with this tax regime.
Thank you. I first of all have to say that already Kenyans are oppressed by the ending financial bill, that is Finance Bill 2023, which imposed a number of heinous taxes also to us people. Now, onto this one, we have so many of those taxes that have been invoked. One of them is the rail levy, fuel levy, road maintenance levy, among many. We also have health insurance, covers that are taxed. We have pay as you earn being increased, and the VAT. Right now, if you want to start a business in Kenya as a young person, you are already being taxed before you start doing the business. So where are we going to? You actually run the business. You are actually being taxed also when you make transactions. We have the famous mobile transaction in our country, the M-Pesa. They've also increased taxation on M-Pesa. So whatever I am doing, when I make business, when I make some profit, I also become taxed when I'm spending the sub money. This becomes so, it's triple, in some cases, double taxation, which is really unfair. And now worse off is we have experienced in the past 2 years that when we pay our taxes, the taxes don't count in terms of service delivery. And it's in public domain that young people members of parliament and persons close to the presidency have been dishing out cash. Have been dishing out cash, in volumes, in numbers, in public gatherings and fundraisers, whereas people are actually going hungry. We have seen money allocated for the rehabilitation of the State House, the office of the Deputy President, and money being removed from county, the devolved functions. It is quite strange. 400 billion being budgeted for county, for the State House rehabilitation, and 350 billion put for counties, whereas we have 47 counties. These are questions that Kenyans are really asking. We also have cases where there are new offices established, like the office of the Prime Cabinet Secretary, the office of the Deputy President, with huge amounts of money. These are really people who are lucky by the fact that they are wives to senior persons in government. Why do we have offices being catered for them and being furnished, at the expense of the local person? So people are just asking real questions. We have a government that is saying it wants to create jobs. Where does jobs come from? The jobs come from the private sector. How does private sector comes? People have to start businesses. People have to run businesses. People need to do importation, And where you put huge taxes on imports, what does that mean?
Right.
There are things that we don't produce as a country.
Right.
We have to import them. Who bears the cost of that taxation? Is the consumer. That's the local person. And so we have to put our case forward. Thank you.
So just to conclude the conversation, what next? What is next for Kenya? Kenyan youth, the Kenyan president, the people of Kenya. What is next for them?
Well, there is a leadership crisis at the presidency and the legislature. I think the president needs to sober up. The advisors need to tell him the truth that he has lost touch with the commoner and he's lost touch with what is real on ground. So, like they say famously in our country, that he needs to climb down. He needs to climb down and listen to the persons. If not, by the bravado that is going on and the chest thumping, there is likelihood to be, a huge crisis in the country, because the revolt is quite open and the youth are quite, encouraged. What happened yesterday is just but a confirmation that they can actually get to State House. They can actually, eject him from the presidency. So he needs to style up and sort of sober up. And for the young people, I see a case whereby in the new government or in the new elections, we're going to have a new, younger, and sober leadership. Because a case whereby young people have actually questioned, and discussions are all over. People want to recall their members of parliament who voted yes to the finance bill. I can tell you it's going to be a new generation in the country. However, as persons in advocating for good governance and leadership, we advocate for peace. We advocate for, some kind of dialogue. Okay. And above all, let's not do this at the expense of justice. Let's do it with justice. Thank you.
Thank you, Kelvin. Thank you so much for bringing us those details from Kenya, specifically Nairobi. Kelvin Kenya is a leadership and governance expert. And something he mentioned that got me interested. The people are saying that those members of parliament who voted for the bill, they are going to recall them. They are going to recall them. I've said nothing. Thank you for watching this conversation. We'll be back with more stories right here on the AM Show. We'll be back.